When was the last time you got out of a difficult situation? Did your education help you? Or was it something else? What about poetry? They say a poem is like a Swiss Army penknife. There's always a blade or a poem to help you out of a difficult situation. About 20 years ago, there was a poet called Patrick in my West London neighbourhood. A lot of people rejected him, calling him a madman. He was schizophrenic, and they weren't able to see the whole person and not just his mental health problem. Fair enough, when he walked into a pub, you didn't know if he would spit, shout and swear, or whether he would be gentle and calm and come and sit with you, uninvited, but he had a radar for where he was welcomed. Eyes like black diamonds, he said. I don't remember the rest of that poem, but I do remember Patrick and how he used his gift of poetry to connect with others. I sense some of you may be thinking, poetry? Well, what about smoke signals? The Native American Indians used these in times of emergency to signal to their tribe. The most illuminating part of my formal education was watching my friend Heidi Verlo smoke cigarettes in the girls' toilets. I was 11 years old. My parents had just moved, so this was my 7th new school. I'd only spent a term at the previous one, and it had been hard work to settle in. We were the only foreign-looking people around. I was always being asked, "Are you always brown?" And I was even featured in the local paper as an exotic girl guide. So by the time I got to this school, I was exhausted. I just couldn't do it again. I was invisible anyway. I was really thin. I was the shortest in the class, and I had these big, thick glasses. And then there was Heidi Verlo. Heidi was the tallest in the class. She had sharp blonde hair, and she was Norwegian. She hardly spoke a word of English, so she was older than the rest of us, 13. Heidi was too cool for school. What we had in common was that neither of us wanted to be in that classroom, so we would disappear off to the girls' toilets. We'd have these funny little conversations, muddling our way through Heidi's peculiar English, and I would beg her to blow smoke rings. Every now and again, she would pull out a cigarette, light up, inhale, and make this goldfish mouth, producing the most perfect smoke rings. And I would watch them travel through time and space and signal to my people. Heidi and her smoke rings were the hope in my lonely, defeated heart that one day I would belong. And it worked out. And a few years ago, I moved to Dublin, Ireland, a nation of poets and people who talk too much. One thing I realized very quickly was that the length of a queue had absolutely no bearing of how long you would be there. I mean, you could be right at the front of the queue and the person being served would take forever. This annoyed me. Didn't they realize that I was busy and I had important things to do? Well, one day I was there huffing and puffing in the post office queue, and all of a sudden I remembered what was more important than connecting with another human being. And when I got to the counter, I chatted away as well. Because I've come to learn that in life, it's not education that helps us meet life situations, being rejected or loneliness or the modern plight of being busy. It's connection, whether we do that through poetry, through smoke signals, or through a simple conversation.